5 True Creepy Middle School Stories. Story 1. The Online Predator. 12-year-old Sarah thought she'd made a new friend when she met 13-year-old Alice online. Alice seemed cool and invited Sarah over to hang out. At Alice's house, things took a disturbing turn. Alice's supposed 16-year-old boyfriend, James, started messaging, asking the girls to turn on their webcam. Sarah felt uncomfortable as James made sexual comments and expressed eagerness to meet them soon. A week later, the school went into lockdown. Cops questioned Sarah and revealed James was actually a 40-year-old man named Tom. He had shown up at the school claiming to be Alice's uncle and demanding they release her to him. Quick-thinking office staff refused and called the police. Who knows what would have happened if he had gotten his hands on Alice? Sarah was shaken but relieved. Her instincts told her something was very wrong with James. She cut contact with Alice, who continued her risky online behavior. The lesson here is clear: be extremely cautious about who you talk to online, even if they claim to be close to your age. Predators can use fake profiles to gain kids' trust and try to lure them into dangerous situations. Never agree to meet an online acquaintance in person without a parent involved. No matter how mature you might feel, adults with bad intentions can manipulate young teens. Story 2. The Junkie Predator. 13-year-old Jess's walk home from school turned into a nightmare when a homeless man started following her. She quickened her pace, but his stride was longer. He grabbed Jess's arm and pushed her into some bushes. She was terrified, thinking, "This is how kids get kidnapped." Just then, a car screeched to a halt and a woman yelled at the man to get off Jess. Jess jumped into the woman's car and they sped off. The woman made sure Jess got home safe and insisted she call the police right away. Cops found the man was a local known for being unstable but mostly harmless up until then, when his addiction to hard drugs made him aggressive. It's a harsh reality that dangerous people can be anywhere. If it wasn't for the right person driving by at the exact right moment, Jess's story may have ended very differently. It's smart to walk with friends when possible, avoid isolated areas, and make lots of noise if grabbed to attract attention. Fighting back can also deter some attackers. Self-defense classes can help you feel more prepared, but the number one rule is to prioritize getting away above all else. Story 3. The Bus Driver. These days we teach kids about stranger danger, but sometimes the threat is from someone familiar. Nikki's middle school bus driver gave her the creeps with how he talked to her and her first boyfriend. He'd ask invasive questions about if they made out and make sexual jokes. One day, he skipped her stop and made Nikki ride alone to the end of the route. Nikki prayed in terror as he turned down a dirt road and drove into the woods. She put her books in the bus aisle, ready to throw them at him and run. When she glanced out the back window, she spotted her dad following in his truck. She boldly stood up and yelled at the driver that her dad was right behind them and he better stop the bus. The driver opened the doors and Nikki ran to her dad, who had a confrontation with the driver. She never saw that driver again. Nikki got very lucky. Her dad realized she was in trouble, thanks to the other kids on her route telling their parents the driver bypassed her stop while she looked scared. This is why it's crucial for kids to speak up if an adult acts inappropriately, even if it's someone they see every day who hasn't tried anything before. Many predators start with testing the waters before escalating to an assault or abduction attempt. Story 4. The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. Greg seemed like your typical awkward 7th grader. He was shy, nerdy, and didn't have many friends. So Ashley felt bad for him and tried to be nice to him in their shared classes. She talked to him during group projects and sat with him at lunch sometimes. Greg developed a crush on Ashley and started following her everywhere. He left notes in her locker calling her his soulmate and describing her outfits. He got angry whenever she paid attention to other guys. Ashley got creeped out by Greg's obsessive behavior and stopped talking to him. But his fixation only escalated. Greg started showing up at Ashley's house and her basketball games. Then the threatening messages began. Greg said if he couldn't have Ashley, no one could. He implied he would hurt himself or someone else if she didn't return his affections. Ashley told the school counselor and resource officer, who said there wasn't much they could do since Greg hadn't made a direct threat. A few months later, Ashley woke up to Greg standing over her bed holding a knife. He had broken into her house while her family slept. He planned to kidnap her, but Ashley's screams woke her parents, and Greg ran off. He was eventually arrested and sent to a juvenile detention center for his obsessive and criminal behavior. Story 5. The Coach. Kendra's middle school had a security guard named Mr. Johnson who all the kids loved. He was funny and nice and seemed to really care about the students. So Kendra was shocked when a few years later, her little sister texted her a news article. Mr. Johnson had been arrested for sexually abusing players on the girls' basketball team he coached at another school. The article made Kendra feel sick. It said Mr. Johnson had assaulted 3 girls, 14 and 15 years old, with only one consenting, though of course she was too young to legally consent. Kendra thought back to all her interactions with the security guard and realized there were some red flags, like how touchy-feely he was with hugs and how he'd comment on girls' appearances. At the time she brushed it off as him being like a caring uncle, but now she saw his behavior in a disturbing new light. Perpetrators often purposely seek positions where they work closely with kids. They cultivate a cool persona so kids trust them and adults don't look too closely. But there are often warning signs, like an adult singling out certain kids for special attention, being too physically affectionate, and pushing boundaries bit by bit. Speak up about anything that gives you a bad gut feeling. It's always better to be overly cautious when it comes to an adult acting inappropriately around kids and teens. You could save other victims by raising the alarm. That's all for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own creepy school stories in the comments.